Welcome to Your Space Journey, where we venture into the future of space exploration and the incredible leaders who are taking us there. Here's your host, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining me today for Your Space Journey. We're going to continue our space series with organizations around the world, and today I'm pleased to present my interview with the United Arab Emirates about their upcoming mission to Mars, the Hope probe launching in mid-July, just a few days away. But before we get to that interview, I'd like to share the space journey of my friend, Ben Cross.
Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Ben Cross with Glimpse Video. You can check us out at glimpsevideo.com. So I got most interested in space when I was a little kid. We were chilling out in Three Rivers, Michigan on my grandparents' lake. And I remember it's in the middle of the country, so there's no light pollution or anything. So you can see all the stars perfect as day. And I remember seeing a satellite fly over for the very first time, and it was almost like if anybody has seen that movie October Sky with Jake Gyllenhaal, and he sees Sputnik for the first time, and he's just blown away. I almost had that same feeling, and I was like, wow, things are floating and going over our heads, and we don't even know. And it was just such a magical moment of feeling a lot smaller than what I was at a young age, which kind of inspired a lot of momentum into my adulthood. I think what gets me most excited about the future of space exploration is that we're ever getting closer to where laymen such as myself, who know nothing about being an astronaut, have the potential to go to space just to visit and tour. I know I've seen tons of things, whether they be fake or not, about like space hotels and this and that, and it just makes me think of Star Wars, which is one of my favorite movies, and it's a lot to wrap your head around. And I think one of the coolest ideas that I have is when we can do business transactions from a space hotel. That will be the day when it's just like, oh, this is so cool.
Your Space Journey.
Thanks, Ben, for sharing your story. Folks, we'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to share your space journey with us, just give us a call at 317-862-4700, or you can email us an audio or video clip. Just send that email to info@yourSpaceJourney.com. Now on to today's amazing interview with the United Arab Emirates as they prepare to send their Hope probe to Mars. As I mentioned, this mission is scheduled to launch just a few days away in mid-July. Now, the Emirates Mars Mission, EMM Hope probe, will be the first probe to provide a complete picture of the Martian atmosphere and its layers when it reaches the red planet's orbit in February 2021. The Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, based in Dubai, is managing, developing, and executing all stages of the program. Joining us today from the Space Center are Ayesha Sharafi, the EMM lead for the Spacecraft Propulsion Subsystem, and Mohsen Awadhi, the EMM lead mission systems engineer. Mohammed, thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Good to be with you.
It's an honor to speak with both of you. Now, I understand that the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center was founded in 2006, and it's home to the UAE National Space Program. Both of you joined the Space Center in 2014. I'd love to hear a little bit more about sort of your background in space interests. What interests you in space to get you to be involved with the Space Center? Ayesha, can we start with you?
Yeah, sure. So, actually, me and Mohsen, we both joined the center on the very same day. And to me, space was something that was just unthinkable, and I never thought of space as a career option. So to have that opportunity, it was an absolute yes right away when I knew about the center and its projects. And by degree, I'm a chemical engineer. So it was very interesting for me to know more about how I can contribute as a chemical engineer to this industry. So it was something that never occurred to me that I'd be working in space and on a Mars mission especially.
Oh, that's incredible. Mohsen, can you share your story?
So I come with a background. I before I joined MBRC, I was working as an licensed aircraft engineer in one of the airlines here in UAE. And as Ayesha said, like I heard of MBRC back then, but I knew like they do with satellites and stuff. So I never thought I have a chance with them. When I joined MBRC, I was working on a program that they had back then. It was a UAV, an unmanned aerial vehicle, basically. And that was my way into the Space Center, basically. And at the same year, they announced the Mars mission, and they told me, "Do you want to work on a mission to Mars?" I went, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." um, so that's how it started for me, basically, with my basic knowledge on some systems engineering. And they needed engineers to work on this mission. I got lucky. I was in the right place on the right time, basically, for me.
Well, those are both wonderful stories. I appreciate you sharing those. Let's talk about this wonderful mission, the Hope Probe, the Emirates Mars Mission. I understand that the Hope Probe is going to sort of provide a complete picture of the Martian atmosphere. Can one of you give us sort of just a general overview of the goals of the Hope Probe?
This mission, I mean, looking at it, we have different views to it. So yes, one of the objectives that we can see is going to Mars and doing science on Mars, basically. So some requirement that we got from the government is, okay, you guys go to Mars. First, we don't want you to do something that has been done previously. So what does that mean? We have to come up with something unique. And basically what that translated to for the science community is that we have never studied Mars on each single day. Like we have a broad picture, like we know what happens, like let's say at 3 p.m. every day, but we don't know what happens like the full one day on Mars. So that is like the approach the mission took is, okay, let's do this mission, but let's also contribute, not just do something that has been done. So that is one of the objectives basically for the science community, at least the way I see it. The other main or the bigger objectives to me, at least as an engineer, is basically Ayesha and myself and the other engineers is learning and being able to work in a mission complex as EMM that is going to deep space. With Ayesha was a first graduate. I came for a background that had nothing to do with the space, but basically showcasing that it's possible. Like, true, we don't have what it takes when it was back to the studies, at least the way we thought, like we'd never studied anything to do with space. But it turns out that's not the case. Like there's no such thing as space engineering. Yeah, you can learn about space in general, but you need people from different backgrounds, like Ayesha, like myself, like the other engineers, that they all come together to build such complex mission. One of the other objectives is basically the capabilities that we have here in UAE is being able to host such missions. Like EMM was in Dubai it was supposed to be here for 3 months, but with the COVID-19, things changed. We kept it here for 2 months. We did different tests on it. We did different operations on it. And basically that is an objective, is to have such a mission being worked on here in UAE and that we have the capability to do so.
I think that is wonderful. Now, this is an incredible mission, and I couldn't imagine, not coming from a space background or even coming from a space background, of designing a propulsion system to get the probe to Mars. Now, Ayesha, I understand that is what you've done, and this is going to be amazing. It's got to get up to a cruising speed of 121,000 kilometers per hour, and then as it approaches Mars orbit, using star trackers to get there, it decelerates to about 14,000 kilometers per hour, and then stabilizes in a Mars orbit, I think, of 55 hours. What was it like designing a propulsion system for that?
Oh, it was incredible. I still can look at these thrusters and just stare at them. Going back to the center, before the Mars mission, the Mohammed Rashid Space Center's focus was on Earth observation satellites. And a lot of these Earth observation satellites never had a propulsion system, or one of them had a propulsion system that was an electric type. It was a technology demonstration. So the center itself never had a dedicated propulsion engineer. So one of the things that this mission brought with it is the propulsion knowledge that we gained from this project. And the propulsion system itself is a monopropellant. It's a pressure-regulated monopropellant hydrazine system. We're using hydrazine as our fuel. And hydrazine is taking around 800 kilograms of the spacecraft's weight. It's more than half of the spacecraft is just fuel. The spacecraft weighs around 1350 kilograms, and the hydrazine is 800, and we also have helium as our pressurant for that system. The system itself has 6 main engines. We call them the delta V thrusters, and we have also 8 smaller 0.9 newtons engines. These are our reaction control system thrusters. These are the thrusters that we use for roll control, and we can also use them for attitude control if we want to. So the propulsion system itself, we will be using it, to correct any trajectory after separation from the rocket, and also for the most critical operation, which is the Mars orbit insertion. And it's a 30-minute burn. We will be using our thrusters to get into our orbit. We will first get into our capture orbit. Our capture orbit is a 40-hour orbit. It has a periapsis of 1,000 kilometers and an apoapsis of around 49,380 kilometers. So we will be staying in our capture orbit for some months. We will be doing some it's the closest we will be to Mars. So we will be doing some of our observations and some of our instrument checkouts, and then we will be moving to our science orbit, which is a 55 hours orbit.
That is incredible. Now, Mohsen, I understand that you just returned from Japan, where you're able to sort of, I guess, make sure that everything is going okay on the launch pad, which is where the Hope probe is going to be launched. Can you tell us about that experience? What was it like for you to go there and to see the spacecraft you've been working on the pad getting ready for liftoff?
Yeah, I mean, every single time I see the spacecraft somewhere, this becomes more real, if it makes sense. Like in the beginning, it used to be back in 2014, it was all on paper. Sometime in about 2016, we start seeing parts. 2017, I still it's just unreal. Like, it's a thing until the day we launch. This is just a dream. So seeing it in Japan for sure made me realize, okay, this is actually real now. It's here. It's sitting next to the launch vehicle, and it will be integrated to it really soon. And being in Japan, it basically brings it one step closer to how real this mission is, to me at least, again, because this is such a unique thing for me to be part of. And again, as I said, I think till the day we are launching, I think it will be unreal. Even after that, probably it will be like a really nice dream.
That would be incredible. Now, I understand it was actually the goal of the UAE's federal government to get a probe to Mars in time for the 50th anniversary in 2021. So this Hope probe is going to reach Mars orbit February 2021. I was just wondering, when do you expect to start getting the actual data back? When does the science mission start, and how long does it last?
So, we start by, as Ayesha said, sometime in February next year, 2021, we'll be doing the MOI. We'll be entering the MOI, the Mars orbit insertion. And about a month from that, it's when we transit to the phase, the science phase. So sometime in March, we are in the orbit that we are ready to do science. So as soon as we get there, it's when we start collecting data. And what we will be doing is, we have an SDC, a Science Data Center, which is in Dubai, and the Space Center, and Mohammed Rashid Space Center, basically, where the data will be released. So the first step would be receiving those data. The science team that we have will first validate those science data, and then once that is complete, we will release them. I don't have a good approximate of what would that take, of how long would it take them to get it done, but I would imagine a 3-month, 6-month kind of timeline for them to validate these data so they're out in the public.
That is going to be wonderful. Now, Mohsen, you mentioned just your excitement of seeing the probe at the launch pad in Japan. Ayesha, what are you feeling as we approach this July 15th launch date? It's coming really fast. I'd love to hear what you're feeling, and then sort of what is the atmosphere in the Emirates in general? How's it being received?
Yeah. personally, it all feels surreal in a way. I never really thought that I'd be working on something like this. I sometimes stare at the spacecraft and I'm like, wow, it's going to Mars. It doesn't like it sometimes clicks to me. You get so immersed in the work that you sometimes forget the actual objective, which is, oh, it's going to Mars. And we're getting excited, a bit nervous, I must admit. But mostly excited. People here are so excited. There's so much excitement waiting for the launch date. So we can't wait, and I hope everything goes as smooth as it can be.
Well, I tell you, we are certainly rooting for your team. We think it's amazing. I would like to talk about just this team in general, because I was intrigued to learn that the EMM team is 100% Emirati, which is awesome. It's also 34% female, and in fact, I understand the science team is 80% female. So, Ayesha, back to you. What advice would you offer to young women around the world who want to pursue a career in science? What would you say to them?
Yeah, so going back to the objectives of this mission, we always say that, Mars is a mean for a bigger goal. It's not just about getting to Mars, it's about inspiring the youth in the region. It's about inspiring the youth to get excited about sciences and STEM in general. So not just females, to the youth in general, we want them to get engaged with us in the sciences and, to pursue whatever ambitions they have. If a country of 50 years can get to Mars, really, you set no limits to your ambitions and you are always in control of your future. So that is my message to them. And that is really the message behind HOPE, which is the name of the probe, that we can always work towards a better future. And that's what we hope to send through this project.
That is wonderful advice and a wonderful message. I also want to talk about just the great partnerships that you have. You've worked with the University of Colorado, where I believe, Mohsen, you actually earned your master's degree there. I was wondering if you could tell us more about your knowledge transfer partners in this program and how that relationship sort of evolved.
Yeah, so this is one of the main objectives that this mission was set on delivering, is the knowledge transfer part. So back in 2014, I was given the opportunity to move out to Colorado, basically, and to stay close with a team that's supporting the academic partner that we have there, the university, and work basically closely with them. So me and my family, my wife, we moved there, and I just returned back to UAE beginning of this year. It was, again, like working with experts in the field. It was just surreal. Being able to sit down with them and learn from them and get to a point that you're comfortable with discussing ideas with them and sometimes arguing with them. It's basically what we learned from this mission, to be honest. It was really critical to find a partner that will teach us rather than just deliver something to us, which was this mission again. It was at times really difficult. For example, it would give me, for like the plan to protection job was laid to me, like I was the sole responsible of it. And it was something new for the mission, for the university, and for my whole country. Like, we don't have a plan to protection officer. So it was understanding what it takes to find the resources that you need, and the partners that you would need from NASA, from ESA, from JAXA, COSPAR, all of those different entities to show them what the mission is doing. And this is just for the planetary protection aspect of it. So yeah, I mean, this mission, I learned a lot from it. Moving to the US for 5 years for sure did help me a lot. And then as you mentioned, I earned my master's degrees in aerospace engineering. I graduated in December 2019, which was a bad timing to study with the workload that was happening. There were quite hard nights, but made it and in a really good place now. Happy with that all done. But yeah, it was a really great experience that, again, I feel like super lucky to be able to have gone through it.
Well, congratulations. I didn't realize you got your degree so recently. So that's fantastic on that. I do want to ask in general, the world is captivated by Mars. As a matter of fact, the UAE is working on the initiative for Mars 2117 to establish a human colony on Mars. What do both of you think, just what fascinates us so much about the planet Mars?
To us, Mars is like a cousin in a way. It's we believe that once Mars was very similar to our planet. It had water, and all of that was lost, and now it has a very dry atmosphere. So understanding Mars, I think, is going to help us understand our planet better, and exploring a world that is far, a planet that is far yet so similar, can give us so much insight. And also, I think in general, space is a perfect platform for us as humanity to hope for something. It brings us all together, and the International Space Station is a perfect example of international collaboration and humanity coming together. So if we can all work together and understand a different planet and what happened there and how it can help us understand Earth better, I think that is the reason that drives us behind exploring Mars, and it's the reason behind our curiosity about Mars, is trying to understand what happened and whether it can happen here on Earth, and how can we all work together towards making a better planet for humanity.
It's beautiful. Well, we just want to, again, extend our congratulations and best wishes to your team for the Hope Probe. We're wishing you the best of success. Ayesha and Mohsen, shukran. Thank you so much for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Shukran, Chuck. Pleasure talking to you.
Your space journey.
Wow, I really enjoyed my conversation today with Ayesha and Mohsen about the Hope Probe, and so excited for this incredible mission. If you'd like to learn more about the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center and the Emirates Mars Mission, just visit their website at mbrsc.ae. I want to thank Ayesha and Mohsen for joining me today. I want to thank Ben Cross for sharing his space journey earlier on in the episode. But most importantly, I want to thank you for tuning in today. We really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time. God bless.